The suspenseful hook. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with energy. Its members gathered under the shimmering dome of the Celestial Assembly Hall. Delegates from every major species across the galaxy sat in their designated pods, their expressions a mix of curiosity and disdain. At the center, the council speaker, a towering, multi-limbed Arconian, struck the gavel against his podium, silencing the room. "Delegates," he began, his voice echoing through the hall, "we are here to address the matter of Earth." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Earth, one of the youngest members of the galactic community, was often seen as an enigma. Their sudden rise to spacefaring status had been noted but not taken seriously. For many, humanity was still considered a primitive and impulsive species. Yet today, Earth stood accused of violating a treaty that prohibited the deployment of advanced weaponry in neutral zones. A member of the HFY species, a reptilian race known for their cunning, rose to speak. "The humans have overstepped their boundaries," he hissed, his forked tongue flickering. "We demand their immediate surrender and compliance. They cannot be allowed to defy the Council's authority." The speaker nodded gravely. "We have reviewed the evidence. Their actions threaten the balance of power in this galaxy. It is time we send a clear message." From the shadows of the chamber, a soft voice interrupted. It belonged to Delegate Rhea, the representative of a minor, pacifist species. "Have we reached out to Earth for an explanation? Perhaps they have a reason." The chamber erupted in laughter, a cruel and mocking sound. "Reason?" barked the HFY delegate. "They are nothing more than savages with access to technology they do not understand. There is no reasoning with primitives." The speaker raised a hand to calm the crowd. "We sent them a message this morning." Their response was cryptic. With a wave of his hand, a holographic display materialized above the podium. The room fell silent as the message played. A simple, ominous statement spoken in perfect galactic standard. "Do not awaken the ancient. You won't survive." The room froze, the weight of the words sinking in. A delegate from the Volthek species, known for their stoic demeanor, tilted his head. "What is this ancient they speak of? A bluff, perhaps?" The HFY delegate sneered. "Bluster from a cornered species. They think they can frighten us with empty threats." The speaker frowned but nodded in agreement. "If they refuse to cooperate, the Council will authorize military action against Earth. It is time they understand the consequences of defiance." On Earth, a very different scene unfolded. In the quiet halls of a secret facility deep beneath the Antarctic ice, humanity's leaders gathered around a massive central console. Their expressions were calm, even as the Galactic Council's ultimatum replayed on the screen before them. "They're sending a fleet," General Alaric said, his voice steady. "We knew this day would come." Across the table, a woman with piercing eyes and a sharp mind, Director Elena Cade, leaned forward. "And we've prepared for it," she said. "The ancient fleet is ready." There was a pause, heavy with meaning. The ancient fleet, humanity's greatest secret. Buried long before the galaxy even knew Earth existed, it was a relic of humanity's darkest and most innovative era. Ships powered by technology so advanced, they bordered on the mystical. The fleet had been hidden for centuries, its activation forbidden except in the direst of emergencies. General Alaric spoke again. "If we wake it, there's no going back. The galaxy will never look at us the same." Director Cade's gaze was unflinching. "Do you think they'll look at us kindly if we let them destroy us?" A technician interrupted the tense conversation. "Incoming transmission," he said, gesturing to the screen. The Galactic Council's fleet commander appeared, a hulking insectoid being with a cruel smirk. "Humans," he sneered, "your time is up. Surrender your planet and your weapons, or face annihilation." Director Cade stepped forward, her face calm, but her voice cold. "We warned you," she said. "Leave, or you will regret it." The commander laughed, cutting the transmission. In orbit, the Council fleet began to move into position, preparing their weapons. On Earth, alarms blared as the countdown to war began. Deep beneath the surface, ancient systems roared to life. Hidden bunkers unlocked, and towering silos opened, revealing massive, ominous ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Their black, angular design seemed almost alive, pulsing with an eerie glow. For the first time in centuries, Earth's ancient fleet was awakening. Earth's hidden legacy. Far below the Antarctic ice, a vast underground hangar hummed with energy. The air was electric, filled with the sound of ancient engines stirring after centuries of silence. Rows of colossal warships, each as dark as the void itself, began to pulse with a strange blue light. These were not ordinary vessels. They were relics of a time when humanity had been desperate, fighting not for dominance, but survival. Director Elena Cade stood in the control room overlooking the awakening fleet. The holographic interface in front of her displayed a cascade of data, power levels stabilizing, weapons systems coming online, and the fleet's artificial intelligence linking together in perfect synchronization. She tapped a button, activating the facility's intercom. Her voice, steady and resolute, echoed through the hangar. Project Eternum is now live. All personnel, assume your positions. The technicians in the room exchanged glances. This was no drill. They had trained for this day, but no simulation could prepare them for the reality of awakening the most dangerous force in human history. General Alaric stepped up beside her. "It's hard to believe this has been sitting here all this time," he said, his voice low. "Centuries of silence. And now," Elena glanced at him, "and now, it's our last hope." The fleet's origins were shrouded in secrecy. Only a few even knew of its existence. Created during humanity's darkest era, the fleet had been a desperate gamble, a combination of cutting-edge technology and unorthodox experimentation. The ships were powered by an energy source so volatile it had been deemed too dangerous for use by any galactic species. But humanity, facing extinction, had taken the risk. Each ship had a personality, a mind of its own. They weren't just vessels. They were weapons that thought, adapted, and learned. And now, they were waking up. "Director," a young technician called out, pulling their attention to the console. "The fleet AI has acknowledged activation, awaiting further commands." Elena nodded. "Patch me through." The technician pressed a series of buttons, and a deep, synthetic voice filled the room. "Command accepted. Fleet Eternum stands by for orders." The voice was calm but carried a weight that made everyone in the room shiver. These ships were old, older than anyone in the room could truly comprehend, and their intelligence was not entirely human. Elena stepped forward. "This is Director Cade. Priority Command, Defensive Protocol. Enemy fleet approaching Earth orbit. Prepare for engagement." "Understood," the AI replied. "Initiating defensive maneuvers, calculating threat level." As the ships began to rise from their silos, the ground above them trembled. Massive doors, hidden beneath layers of ice and snow, slid open to reveal the dark sky. One by one, the ships ascended, their black hulls absorbing the faint light of the stars. Their movements were unnaturally smooth, almost organic, as if they were alive. The technicians watched in awe as the fleet assembled above the Earth. It was a sight that no human had ever witnessed in their lifetime. An armada unlike any the galaxy had ever known. These were not just tools of war. They were monuments to humanity's resilience. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, the Galactic Council's fleet moved into position. The alien ships were sleek and silver, their designs a reflection of the Council's confidence in their superiority. Commander Xalfar, the insectoid leader of the fleet, observed the blue planet below with disdain. "These humans," he clicked, addressing his officers, "they dare to challenge us with their primitive toys. Let us show them the price of defiance." The fleet prepared to fire a warning salvo, but before they could, their sensors began to scream. Anomalous readings flooded their displays. unidentified energy signatures rising from the planet's surface. "What is this?" Xalfar demanded, his mandibles twitching in frustration. Before anyone could answer, the first of Earth's ancient ships broke through the atmosphere. The sight left the Council fleet in stunned silence. These vessels didn't look like anything the galaxy had ever encountered. They were vast, their hulls covered in a strange, shifting pattern that seemed to drink in the starlight. And they were armed. Earth's fleet moved into formation, positioning itself between the planet and the Council's Armada. It was a wall of impenetrable darkness, a silent challenge. A single message was transmitted across all channels, carried by the same deep, synthetic voice that had spoken in the hangar. "You were warned." The Council's fleet hesitated, their confidence shaken. Xalfar snarled, trying to regain control. "Fire, destroy them all." But it was too late. Earth's ancient fleet surged forward, their weapon systems glowing with an eerie blue light. The galaxy was about to learn the true meaning of power. The Galactic Council's provocation. The Galactic Council's fleet, a glittering array of state-of-the-art warships, hung in low Earth orbit like a predator circling its prey. Commander Xalfar paced the bridge of his flagship, his claws clicking against the polished floor. The holographic displays around him pulsed with data, but none of it explained what he had just witnessed. The ships rising from Earth defied everything he knew about warfare. They were a mystery, an affront to his pride, and a threat he refused to acknowledge. "Scan them again," he barked, his mandibles twitching in frustration. "I want every detail: composition, power source, weapon systems." The crew worked frantically, their tentacles and claws dancing over control panels. The scans returned incomprehensible results. The ships seemed to absorb every attempt to analyze them, their hulls emitting a strange interference that left the Council's sensors blind. "Commander," one officer finally reported, their voice trembling. We cannot identify their energy source. It's ancient and unstable." Xalfar slammed a clawed hand onto the console. "Excuses. They are human vessels. They cannot be superior to the might of the Galactic Council. Prepare the fleet. We will crush their arrogance." Across the Council's Armada, weapon systems powered up. Glowing plasma turrets and missile silos turned toward Earth. The message was clear: surrender or be obliterated. On Earth, Director Elena Cade and General Alaric watched the display from their control room. The Council fleet's movements were calculated and predictable, but the sheer size of their forces was daunting. Hundreds of ships, each bristling with weapons, hung poised to strike. General Alaric leaned forward, his jaw tight. "They're provoking us, trying to force our hand." Elena's expression remained calm. "And they'll regret it." She turned to the fleet's eye interface, its holographic form flickering in the corner of the room. "Status report." The synthetic voice replied without hesitation. "Enemy fleet weapon systems are primed. Calculating trajectory of initial salvo. 96% probability of planetary surface damage." "Defense protocol?" she asked. "Fleet Eternum is in optimal formation. Countermeasures are ready. Shall we proceed?" Elena hesitated for only a moment. "Not yet. Let them strike first." Alaric glanced at her, a hint of unease in his eyes. "Are you sure about this?" "They need to know what they're dealing with," she replied. "Let them believe they're in control for now." On the bridge of the Council's flagship, Xalfar smirked as the countdown to fire began. His confidence returned with each passing second. Humanity's silence only confirmed his belief that their defiance was a bluff. "Fire," he commanded, his voice dripping with satisfaction. The first wave of plasma bolts and missiles streaked toward Earth, glowing like falling stars. The Council's fleet erupted in cheers as the weapons closed in on their target. But then, something happened. Something no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. The dark ships of Earth's fleet moved as one, a fluid, synchronized motion that seemed almost alive. Energy shields shimmered into existence, forming a glowing barrier that absorbed the incoming fire. The plasma bolts fizzled into nothing, and the missiles exploded harmlessly against the shields. Zalfar's smug grin disappeared. Impossible. Before he could issue new orders, Earth's fleet retaliated. Their weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever encountered. Streams of energy lanced through the void, cutting through the Council's ships with terrifying precision. The dark hulls of Earth's vessels shifted and pulsed as if they were feeding off the destruction. "Commander," an officer shouted, "our shields are failing. Their weapons, there's no way to counter them." Zalfar's mandibles twitched furiously. "Retreat. Regroup and—" His words were cut off as one of Earth's ships surged forward, faster than any vessel should be able to move. It fired a single concentrated beam of energy that sliced through the flagship's escorts, leaving only debris in its wake. The ship halted just short of the flagship, its angular, ominous hull dwarfing the alien vessel. A voice echoed through the Council's communication systems. It was deep, cold, and unmistakably synthetic. "You were warned." The bridge of Zalfar's flagship fell silent. Every officer stared at their commander, waiting for orders. But Zalfar was frozen, his confidence shattered. The human ship hovered there, silent and immovable, its very presence a threat. Behind it, the rest of Earth's fleet loomed like a wall of shadows, their weapons ready to unleash devastation. "Commander," an officer whispered, "what do we do?" For the first time in his career, Zalfar had no answer. Back on Earth, Alina watched the scene unfold on the monitors. She turned to General Alaric, her voice calm but firm. "They know now," she said, "but this is just the beginning." Alaric nodded. "The galaxy isn't ready for what we've built." Alina's gaze hardened. "But they'll have to learn, one way or another." Awakening the ancient fleet. The Galactic Council's fleet, once the epitome of galactic power, now drifted in stunned silence. The shadow of Earth's dark Armada loomed large, their ships like celestial predators circling their prey. The humans had not only resisted, they had humiliated the Council's forces. But Earth's fleet wasn't done yet. They had only shown a fraction of their power. Far below, buried beneath Earth's oceans, deserts, and mountains, the full might of humanity's ancient legacy began to awaken. In a forgotten desert facility, a vault the size of a small city groaned as its colossal doors slid open. Sand poured into the chasm, revealing a single ship. It was larger than any vessel in orbit, its sleek, obsidian surface glowing with faint, pulsating lines. This was the Leviathan, the flagship of the ancient fleet. Its hull bore scars from wars fought millennia ago, but its engines roared to life as if it had been waiting for this moment. Inside the Leviathan's command core, a holographic figure shimmered into existence. It was the ship's eye, a construct designed to command and strategize with unparalleled efficiency. Its form was humanoid, but its glowing blue eyes betrayed a deep intelligence far beyond human comprehension. Director Elena Cave's voice echoed through the Leviathan's command link. "Leviathan, this is Director Cade. Protocol Omega is now in effect. You are authorized to engage." The AI bowed its head slightly. Its voice, deep and resonant, filled the room. "Acknowledged, Director. The Leviathan is prepared." As the ship began its ascent, the ocean above it churned violently, massive waves crashing in every direction. Fishermen on the surface could only watch in awe and terror as the water parted, revealing the towering ship rising into the sky. From other hidden locations around the globe, similar ships emerged. Each vessel was unique, designed for specific purposes, one bristling with energy weapons, another with armor so thick it seemed indestructible, and yet another shaped like a long spear, optimized for speed and precision strikes. The fleet was no longer just a defense mechanism. It was a warning to the galaxy. In orbit, the Galactic Council's flagship struggled to maintain order. Commander Zalfar's confidence had crumbled, but his desperation to salvage his fleet remained. He barked orders, his voice cracking under the pressure. "Pull back. Regroup with the remaining ships. We need a full assault before they gain the upper hand." But even as the Council ships attempted to retreat, Earth's fleet surged forward. The Leviathan took the lead, its size dwarfing every other vessel. It emitted a low, reverberating hum that could be felt even within the Council ships, a sound that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of space. The Leviathan broadcast a single message, its voice calm but commanding. "This is the Leviathan. Galactic Council Fleet, your provocation has been answered. Stand down or face annihilation." The Council's response was chaos. Some captains ordered full retreat, abandoning the fight entirely, while others, blinded by arrogance, launched a desperate counterattack. Plasma bolts and missiles streaked through the void, aimed directly at the Leviathan. But the Leviathan didn't dodge. It didn't raise its shields. Instead, it released a pulse of energy that rippled through space, disrupting the incoming projectiles. Missiles exploded harmlessly in midair, and plasma bolts dissipated as if swallowed by an invisible force. Commander Zalfar watched in horror. What kind of technology is this? Before he could react, the Leviathan retaliated. Its main cannon, a weapon powered by an energy source long thought impossible, charged with a glow so bright it outshone the nearby stars. When it fired, the beam cut through space like a blade, striking 3 Council ships simultaneously. The vessels disintegrated instantly, leaving only a cloud of debris. Earth's fleet moved as one, their precision and coordination unmatched. Smaller ships flanked the Council's forces, disabling engines and weapons systems with calculated strikes. There was no chaos in their attack, only cold, efficient destruction. In the Council chamber on a distant planet, the Speaker and delegates watched the battle unfold on massive screens. The room was silent, the usual arrogance replaced by fear. "How could this happen?" one delegate whispered. They were supposed to be primitive. The Tarvok delegate, who had led the accusations against Earth, sat frozen in his seat. His confidence, so strong during the initial meeting, was gone. We underestimated them." The Speaker turned to his aides, his voice low and urgent. "Send a diplomatic envoy. Now." Back on Earth, Director Elena Cade monitored the battle from the control room. General Alaric stood beside her, his expression a mix of awe and unease. "We're winning," he said, "but at what cost? The galaxy will never forget this." Elena's gaze was steady. "They provoked us. They thought we were weak. Now, they know the truth." The Leviathan's AI chimed in, its voice cutting through the tension. "Director, the enemy fleet is in full retreat. Shall we pursue?" Elena hesitated for a moment. The power of the ancient fleet was terrifying, even to her, but she knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy's balance of power had been irreversibly shifted, and humanity's place in it was now undeniable. "No," she finally said. "Let them run. They need to live with the memory of what they've seen." As the Leviathan and the rest of the fleet returned to Earth's orbit, the message was clear. Humanity was no longer a species to be trifled with. The battle begins. The Galactic Council's remaining fleet, battered and disorganized, floated in fragmented formation. The once proud Armada now resembled a herd of frightened prey, desperately searching for an escape. But Earth's fleet wasn't just a predator. It was an unstoppable force. The Leviathan, Earth's flagship, led the charge. Its massive hull shimmered with an eerie glow, as though the void of space itself had been woven into its design. The smaller human ships flanked it in perfect symmetry, their movements as synchronized as the strokes of a master artist. Commander Zalfar stood frozen on the bridge of his damaged flagship. Around him, the shattered remnants of his fleet attempted to regroup. His officers shouted reports, but their words blurred together into white noise. The Leviathan's overwhelming presence consumed every thought. "They're coming, Commander," an officer cried, their voice breaking with panic. They'd locked weapons on us. Zalfar clenched his mandibles, his pride battling with his fear. "Stand and fight," he roared. "We are the Galactic Council. We do not flee from primitives." But even as he spoke, he couldn't ignore the reality. These humans weren't primitives. They were something else entirely. Earth's fleet surged forward, their weapons charging with blinding energy. The Leviathan led the assault, its main cannon firing a concentrated beam of light that pierced through the Council's largest battleship. The alien vessel erupted in a silent explosion, debris scattering like dust in the vastness of space. Behind it, the smaller human ships unleashed a torrent of precision strikes. Plasma bolts and kinetic projectiles tore through enemy shields with ease. The Council's ships, built for large-scale engagements with predictable tactics, were no match for the humans' unorthodox strategies and superior technology. The Spearhead, a sleek, spear-shaped ship, darted through the Council's ranks like a predator stalking its prey. Its agile movements defied the laws of physics, leaving trails of light as it weaved between enemy ships. With pinpoint accuracy, it targeted critical systems, engines, weapons, communication arrays, rendering the Council's ships powerless one by one. In the Council's war room, chaos reigned. Delegates shouted over each other, demanding explanations and solutions. The Speaker, his composure shattered, slammed his gavel repeatedly to restore order. "How did this happen?" he bellowed. "How are these humans defeating us so easily?" The tactical officer's hologram flickered into the room, their expression grim. "Their fleet, it's not just advanced, it's adaptive. Their ships are learning our movements, our strategies. Every second we engage, they're improving." The room fell silent. The delegates who had mocked humanity mere hours ago now stared at the screen in horror as another Council ship was obliterated by the Leviathan. "We must call for a ceasefire," the Volthak delegate urged, his stoic demeanor cracking. "This is no longer a battle, it's a massacre." Back in orbit, Commander Gazalfar refused to surrender. His flagship, though severely damaged, still had operational weapons. He ordered a desperate counterattack, directing all remaining ships to focus their fire on the Leviathan. Plasma bolts and missile salvos streaked toward the massive human flagship. But the Leviathan didn't flinch. Its shields absorbed the barrage, converting the energy into fuel for its next attack. The ship's eye spoke, its voice echoing across all channels. "Galactic Council forces, your resistance is futile. Stand down and withdraw, or you will be eliminated." The Council fleet hesitated. Zalfar's officers looked to him for guidance, but he had no answers. His pride had led them into a trap, and now his fleet was being dismantled piece by piece. Suddenly, the Leviathan unleashed its most devastating weapon yet. A pulse of energy radiated from its core, spreading across the battlefield like a tidal wave. The pulse didn't destroy, it disabled. Council ships went dark, their systems shutting down as the wave passed through them. The Leviathan's eye spoke again, its tone colder than before. "You were warned." On Earth, Director Elena Cade and General Alaric monitored the battle from their control room. The technicians cheered as the Council fleet was systematically neutralized, but Elena's expression remained serious. "This isn't just a victory," she said. "It's a declaration. The galaxy will never see us the same way again." Alaric nodded, his face grim. "They'll fear us. And fear breeds enemies." Elena glanced at the screen, where the Leviathan hovered over the disabled Council fleet like a dark god. "That's why we must be careful. The ancient fleet was built for survival, not domination. We'll send a message, but we won't become what they think we are." She pressed a button on her console, opening a channel to the Leviathan. "I command, ceasefire. Let the survivors return to their council." The Leviathan's AI responded immediately. "Acknowledged, Director. Ceasing hostilities." The battle ended as abruptly as it began. Earth's fleet pulled back, returning to defensive formation around the planet. The Council's ships, crippled but intact, limped away from the battlefield. They carried with them a story that would spread across the galaxy. a story of humanity's unimaginable power and the terrible cost of underestimating them. As the Leviathan returned to its orbit, its AI sent one final message to the retreating Council forces. Remember this day, and remember what lies dormant beneath the surface of Earth. The galaxy had been warned. Humanity was not to be provoked. Humanity's message to the galaxy. The Galactic Council's fleet limped away from Earth, battered and broken. What had begun as a mission of dominance had turned into a tale of humiliation. Yet even as their ships disappeared into the void, the echoes of their defeat lingered, reverberating across the galactic communication networks. The galaxy was watching, and humanity knew this was their moment to speak, not with weapons, but with words. On Earth, Director Elena Cade addressed a small group of leaders in the command center. The battle was over, but the war for perception had just begun. Standing at the head of the table, she exuded a calm authority. "We've shown them what we can do," Elena began, her voice steady. "Now we show them who we are." General Alaric, still tense from the events of the battle, frowned. "You think they'll believe we're peaceful after what they just saw?" Elena turned to the holographic display of the Leviathan, its massive silhouette casting a long shadow across the Earth. "That depends on the message we send." The Leviathan's AI, its holographic avatar standing at the edge of the room, tilted its head slightly. "Director, what message shall I transmit?" Elena took a deep breath. The moment called for more than just strategy. It called for clarity. "Patch into the Galactic Council's primary communication network," she instructed. "We'll speak directly to the galaxy." Across countless star systems, alien species tuned in as their devices pinged with an incoming transmission. The humans were speaking, their voices reaching into every corner of the galaxy. On planets covered in glowing cities, on remote outposts orbiting dying stars, and even on ships navigating the far reaches of space, the message began to play. Elena Cade appeared on screens everywhere, standing before a backdrop of Earth's blue and green surface. Her expression was calm but unyielding, her tone firm yet measured. "This is Director Elena Cade of Earth," she began. "Today, your Galactic Council sought to provoke and intimidate us. They came to our planet with weapons of war, seeking to assert their dominance. What they found instead was humanity's strength." Her gaze hardened, the weight of her words cutting through the void. "We did not seek this fight. We did not ask for this conflict. But we will not kneel to anyone who threatens our people or our planet." The transmission shifted, showing footage of the Leviathan and its fleet during the battle. The dark ships moved with precision and power, their might undeniable. But the destruction they caused was balanced by calculated restraint. The message was clear. Humanity had acted in defense, not aggression. Elena's voice continued, softer now, but no less powerful. "To the galaxy, we say this. Humanity desires peace. We wish to live among the stars as equals, not conquerors. But let there be no mistake. We will defend ourselves, and if provoked, we will respond." Her final words carried a warning wrapped in diplomacy. "To those who respect our sovereignty, you will find in us allies and friends. To those who seek to harm us, know this. The strength you saw today is only a fraction of what we are capable of." The screen faded to black, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. In the council's chamber, the delegates sat in uneasy quiet. The Aksarvok delegate, still nursing his bruised pride, leaned forward. "This changes everything," he muttered. "We cannot allow a species with such power to remain unchecked." The Volthak delegate, his stoic demeanor masking his fear, replied, "Unchecked, or unprovoked. Perhaps they are exactly what they claim to be, a force of balance." The speaker, his voice subdued for the first time in decades, said, "We must proceed with caution. Humanity is no longer a mere curiosity. They are a force." Back on Earth, the mood was equally tense. The ancient fleet had returned to its dormant state, the Leviathan descending back into its hidden vault beneath the oceans. Director Cade stood on the observation deck of the command center, staring at the horizon, where the sun dipped below the clouds. General Alaric joined her, breaking the silence. "Do you think they'll listen?" Elena didn't look away. "Some will, others won't, but they all understand one thing now." "And what's that?" She turned to face him, her expression resolute. "That humanity isn't just another species to conquer. We're a species to reckon with." On distant planets, alien leaders debated their next moves. Some feared humanity, while others saw opportunity. Deals were struck, alliances proposed, and plans made. But one thing united them all: a newfound respect and fear for the humans. As Earth settled into an uneasy peace, the galaxy shifted. The balance of power, once firmly in the hands of the Galactic Council, now tilted toward the unknown. And in the shadows of the Council's chambers, a faction of powerful delegates whispered of revenge. But humanity was ready. They had sent their message, and they knew it would not be the last. The aftermath. The Leviathan rested in its vault, its engines quiet but its presence still imposing. Across Earth, the skies were calm, but the tension in the hearts of humanity had not subsided. The battle was over, yet the galaxy had been irrevocably changed. Humanity's name was now etched into the stars, not as a fledgling species, but as a force that could challenge the mightiest powers. Director Elena Cave stood in the debriefing room, a holographic map of the galaxy hovering before her. Around the table sat Earth's brightest minds: scientists, military leaders, and diplomats. They'd all looked to her for guidance. "The Council will respond," General Alaric said, breaking the silence. His voice was steady, but the concern in his eyes was unmistakable. "They'll either come back with a larger fleet or turn the rest of the galaxy against us." Elena nodded, her gaze fixed on the map. "That's why we need to act before they do. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about building alliances, showing the galaxy who we really are." A young diplomat, still fresh in his role, leaned forward. "But will anyone trust us after what they've seen? We destroyed their fleet like it was nothing." Elena turned to face him, her voice calm but firm. "Trust is earned. Respect is demanded. They fear us now, but fear can turn to understanding if we play this right." Across the galaxy, the ripple effects of the battle were already being felt. On distant planets, governments convened emergency meetings. Species that had once ignored humanity now saw them in a different light, some with awe, others with trepidation. In the council chambers, the fallout was immediate. Delegates from weaker species demanded accountability from the Xarvuk and other aggressors, accusing them of provoking a war that nearly destroyed the galaxy's balance. The speaker, still shaken, called for an emergency summit to address the situation. But in the shadows of the council, whispers of vengeance grew louder. The Xarvuk delegate, humiliated and enraged, met with allies who shared his thirst for retaliation. "They may have won this battle," he hissed, his forked tongue flickering, "but humanity's arrogance will be their downfall. We'll strike when they least expect it." On Earth, Elena and her team prepared for the next chapter. The ancient fleet had returned to dormancy, but it was clear to everyone that it wouldn't stay that way for long. The Leviathan's eye appeared before Elena in the control room, its glowing eyes betraying a hint of curiosity. "Director," it said, its voice measured, "the galaxy has seen our strength. What is your next move?" Elena studied the hologram. "Strength is only one part of the equation. We need allies, trade, diplomacy. Show them we're more than a fleet of warships." The AI tilted its head. "And if they choose conflict instead?" Elena's gaze hardened. "Then we remind them why they fear us." On the edges of the galaxy, an unexpected shift began. Smaller species, those long oppressed by the Galactic Council, saw humanity's defiance as a beacon of hope. Delegations from distant worlds reached out to Earth, seeking alliances and offering resources. For the first time, humanity was no longer alone in the stars. In one such meeting, a frail alien diplomat with silvery skin addressed Elena. "Your victory has inspired many. The alien said, "But it has also painted a target on your world. The Council will not forgive what you've done." Elena smiled faintly. "Then it's a good thing we're not asking for forgiveness." Meanwhile, deep in the Council's archives, a researcher stumbled upon an ancient record. The humans' fleet, it seemed, was not the only secret buried in the galaxy's past. A forgotten alliance between the first civilizations hinted at weapons and technologies that made the Leviathan look primitive. The discovery was quickly relayed to the speaker, who convened a secret council of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. "If humanity has awakened its ancient power," the speaker said gravely, "we must awaken our own." Back on Earth, Elena stood on the observation deck of the command center, looking out at the stars. General Alaric joined her, a rare smile on his face. "Diplomatic requests are pouring in," he said. "Seems like half the galaxy wants to talk to us now." Elena nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Good. We'll need all the allies we can get." Alaric hesitated before speaking again. "Do you ever think we've gone too far? Awakened something we can't control?" Elena turned to him, her eyes sharp but filled with determination. "What we've awakened isn't just a fleet. It's humanity's place in the galaxy, and we're not going back." The final scene unfolded in the depths of the Leviathan. Its AI, now connected to the entire ancient fleet, monitored the galaxy in silence. Deep within its core, a message flickered, an old transmission from Earth's past, long before the galaxy had taken notice of humanity. The transmission was simple, a single sentence spoken in an ancient human tongue. "We do not seek war, but if war finds us, we will not lose." The Leviathan's glowing eyes brightened, as if acknowledging the words. The fleet's engines hummed faintly, a reminder that Earth's strength remained just beneath the surface, waiting for the galaxy to decide its fate.